What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live composing show. This is Stephen Melin. Hope you're doing fabulous this Wednesday morning, January 22nd, 2025. Ooh, we got lots of cool news going on today. I'm not sure if you've seen basically everywhere in social media yesterday. We got to make a really big announcement. So if you've not heard yet, over this last year in 2024, I got to work on a brand new album with Dark Dice. It is called Darker Designs. And I got to work with many of my composer heroes, including the one, the only Final Fantasy composer, Nobuo Uematsu, as well as Austin Wintory. You might know him from Journey or Assassin's Creed or Abzu or any other number of things. Yuzo Koshiro from Streets of Rage, Etrian Odyssey, Super Smash Brothers, and a whole bunch of other things. We have Dallas Crane, who worked with Austin Wintory. We have Brandon Boone, longtime friend who actually this past year won the Game of the Year award for Slay the Princess. So he is really going up in the ranks in the video game world. We also have Ryan McQuinn, who's been helping out with all of the Fool and Scholar productions, especially the Boar Knight and some Liberty and things like that, and those franchises. So he got to be a part as well. What a crazy smattering of people. Oh, and Hitoshi Sakimoto-san from Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy 12. So, oh my gosh, what a treat. We've already gotten to work with a lot of cool people with Dark Dice over the last few years, but this past year, definitely home run. And I couldn't talk about it for so long. I kind of hinted at it. Maybe you figured it out, but super excited that finally gets to release. And so I had my hand in every part of the process. I composed some, got to co-compose some. I did arranging, orchestration. The only thing I didn't do was copy work. I hired all that out with Catherine Wynn and her team. And she also helped a lot with orchestration, as well as Christopher Siu. Some of you know him. He's a VGMA friend, YouTube friend. Who else? I mean, so many great solo musicians throughout the whole thing, which all those people are listed. And if you want to see the actual post, you can click the link in the little pinned comment there in the live chat. But here, I'll just kind of show you real quick. Here's the official announcement. Oh, and another cool thing, we had Yoshitaka Amano, who is the Final Fantasy artist, did the album artwork. And here's something really cool. Amano is actually having an exhibition starting January 31st in New York City. He's going to be doing an exhibition through March 15th, which is like an art gallery. And he's going to be playing our music. And that was actually part of the deal, was to have this album presented as part of it. So this is super cool. Like what a wild experience to get to be a part of all this and to work with these incredible people. Just unbelievable. It is just shocking how all of this came to be. So I am incredibly grateful. It's kind of stunned, really, kind of speechless. But it was an absolute labor of love. I put a lot of hours, probably more hours into these tracks than any other music I've ever worked on. It mattered so deeply to get it. There is no perfect, but like the best we possibly can. And let me say hey to some folks here. Welcome. We got Clinton, Bailey, Matt, Chu, Sarah. Apparently you guys are freezing. Yeah, it's pretty cold over here in Georgia. We still have snow outside, which is amazing. It snowed yesterday again for the second time this month, which is kind of unheard of in Georgia. Not a very long time has it done that. How am I feeling? I'm okay. Thanks for asking, Sarah. If you didn't know, 2 weeks ago I had an appendix, basically almost rupture. And so that was an emergency surgery. Had to get that sucker taken out immediately, and I've been recovering ever since. So I'm good, not great. So I'm kind of like maybe the 70% line. Also, our family's been battling colds these last couple weeks as well, on top of that recovery. So it's just crazy. It's like when it rains, it pours, or it snows, whatever. But yeah, honestly, super blessed. super duper blessed. And like this album release could not come at a better time. It's just, it lifts my spirits in a time I really needed it. So I'm really grateful for that. You guys get to listen to the album officially January 30th. It's coming up next week. And if you want to get a little sneak of it, for anyone that follows the Patreon for Fool and Scholar, I think if it's like the $20 tier or higher, once again, there it is right there, patreon.com/Fool and Scholar. You can actually go listen to the album right now. It's already out. It's kind of an early access thing. And in a kind of sideways manner, that will actually support me because they hire me a lot to do stuff, and that's how they get their funds, to hire really cool people and these crazy collabs. And what's up, Micah? Glad you're here, man. So what are we doing today? Well, you guys have been hearing about this for months now, but we are very close to starting the Star Fox 64 Lylat mission, which is a Kickstarter project we're doing to raise a whole bunch of money to hire live symphony, orchestra, and choir. We're trying to get 100 musicians on this. It's a simple process, but it's a expensive process. But thankfully, I've done this process many times now, and I hope that the Dark Dice albums are actually proof of that concept, because we'll basically be using the same musicians to pull off the Star Fox album. Same process, same workflow. And a quick question from Clinton. He said, what does copy work mean in music? It's the sheet music prep side of things. So the copyist is someone who takes the MIDI data or the audio data, and they convert it into sheet music to provide for the musicians who are going to play it. There's actually two different roles within copy work. There's the actual sheet music creation called engraving, and then there's the printing side. So two very different roles. Typically the printing side is handled by the music librarian, who is the person inside the contractor. So in our case, Musiversal is who we typically use over in Budapest, Hungary. And what they do is they work with the Budapest Symphony Orchestra. And so literally in their, orchestral recording hall, they have printers. And so they have a person who will just print. I mean, it's thousands of sheets of paper that they have to sort and organize, and you get on everybody's stands and make sure it's all there and it's clean. And then if you're working with me, not sorry, and we have to make a change in the middle of it, and we're like, oh crap, we have to transpose this whole line, or oh no, we forgot to write that line for the horns. Then what that person does is, in the middle of the session, we have people behind the scenes. That's how we have a lot of team members. We have people behind the scenes literally transposing it in Sibelius, and then emailing the PDF file, and then that person, that music copyist the librarian is the one who's actually in there printing it and putting it on that person's stand in the middle of the session while we're literally recording. So it's just wild. The whole thing is this well-oiled machine. Lots of people involved, and it's a big ordeal. So you don't know what you don't know until you do it. There's so many aspects to this process. So what are we doing today? We're doing Star Fox, right? We're working on some new arrangements. And I'm going to continue to do these until the end of the Kickstarter. So the Kickstarter is going to launch next month in February 2025. I'm excited to finally share that with you guys. It's coming soon, but in the meantime, these streams are my way of kind of forcing myself to have the time to work on these arrangements, and just to get to hang out with you guys and share all the news and all that fun stuff. So if you have not yet followed the pre-launch page, please do that. It's really, really helpful and important. This is the page right here. There's a link in the description below. You can click on that and join me here. It just explains the whole project and what we're doing, and all the breakdown of the costs and people involved and all the thingamajigs, okay? But we're going to need a whole lot of money to do this, and it's not cheap. So please, please, please let my childhood dream become reality. Did you know no one's done this? No one's ever done this with the Star Fox 64 album. It's one of the best video game albums of all time, in my opinion. And it's just shocking that no one's ever done this with an orchestra, with a choir. And I understand why. It's expensive and it's hard to do. That's why. So There have been great fan arrangements, but they're usually just one-offs, one track here, one track there. And there have been some symphonic performances of Star Fox tracks, but we're talking like 3 or 4 pieces of music, and that's it. And it's usually like the typical ones, like the Star Wolf theme, or the Canaria theme, or the one we're going to do today, which is actually Area 6. That's one that's typically performed, but there's so many other great tracks. There's 31 tracks in here that are all just really, really good, by 2 fantastic composers, and I just want to bring this to life. I think this would be such a great album to listen to while working and in the car and whatever, I love listening to video game music soundtracks. Anyway, you guys ready to get some work done? I am. So what do we have here? We're working on Area 6. This is the second to last level in the game. This is if you go with the expert mode, so you basically you do all the secret missions. It's like the hard mode. It gets you through all of the levels, and then this is the 6th level. And then once you beat this one, you go straight to Venom through the back door, and you get to actually fight the real version of the boss of the game, Andross, and his second final form. So this level is probably the hardest level in the entire game, on purpose. And to get the medal, so the medals is like how you're just getting murdered by all of these ships and big old ships, and it's super fun. I absolutely adore this game, and so the music is really intense and really fun. Not like boss battle music, but like really energetic, militaristic music. So if you've been following the process of this album, it's been really interesting. Actually, I have access to the original MIDI data, which is kind of rare. I was actually able to extract this from the game itself. It's the MIDI data, and it's just kind of the funny part about it. This is the first time I've encountered this problem, but check this out. For whatever reason, I don't know if it was a software glitch or whatever, but I was not able to extract the last 4 bars of the piece of music. So we're gonna have to do that part by ear today. But I don't want to start there because I want to make sure we actually get all of our, orchestration and stuff in before I just start playing stuff by ear. But it should be simple enough. I think we can figure it out. I've done that a lot, and we can work together and figure that out. But it's only the last 4 bars of the loop just like don't exist in the MIDI data. I don't know why. I really can't tell you why. But no, this is not MIDI data from like all those different sites. What is it called? Like NintendoMidi.com or whatever. Fans have been doing that for years, putting up MIDI from different soundtracks. This is the actual extracted data. And I know that because if you go into the actual data, you can see all of these little dots like panning. Like that's the exact panning of that actual channel. And if you go to the percussion, that's the actual MIDI 10 channel, which is where in the N64 days you would have put all of your percussion data on one track. So it actually is the N64 data converted to MIDI. Pretty cool. Very nerdy, and I love it. So here we go. So the first mission here is I have to extract each of the parts. This is the orchestration side. I have to figure out what was the intended instrument on each of these. Percussion is usually my favorite place to start because it's simple. But here's the track, first of all. When I was extracting it in Sibelius, it just, auto populates honky-tonk piano, electric piano, and solos. You got that weird panning? Of music. Can't wait to get this all filled out with choir and with strings. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's get started. The percussion is pretty self-explanatory usually. I'm going to copy, paste it into my snare because that is obviously the most significant instrument here. And I bet those high hits are just crash cymbals, piata cymbals. So what I'm going to do, open up Musio. I've really, really fallen in love with Musio recently. If you don't have it, go give it a try. You can actually buy the perpetual license, and you don't have to do the subscription, and it's crazy cheap. It's the entire Cinesamples library in one little plugin. It's not as robust as the Contact versions, but it has everything that I like about it. But I never bought Cineperk back in the day, and I didn't realize how good it was until I started playing around with Musio. Really, really love the perk. So like the snares, crash cymbals, tubular bells, they're really, really clean, unlike a lot of libraries. And that helps me because I can throw my own reverb, like right here, boom. Yeah, I just throw it into my own reverb chain, which is Aether. That's something like 10 or 20%. And I can make it all sound nice and clean. All right, so why did I do that? I need to see which snare I want. I'm just testing out different snares. I like that middle one for this track. I guess you'd call that a tenor snare. I don't know, my snares. I turn my velocities down and then go to my panning and make sure it's on 0. It is. So that velocity is too high. So all of these big velocities right here, I'm just going to turn down. And then we'll go to our main volume and turn it up. So that's MIDI channel volume. That sounds good. I try not to touch the volume mixers unless I absolutely have to, because I have the entire soundtrack in here. And they're already pre-leveled. All right, cool. Now let's rename that to snare. That's my Musio snare. And then percussion here, let's go ahead and move that to the Piatti crash cymbals. And really all I have to do here is remove all that low data, which is the snares. Boom. And then same thing, let's find a good crash sound. I like the C3 note, which it's already on. Oh, there it is. Let's listen to it once we get our volume up. Looks like there's a fake note right there. Let's listen to it in context. That'll do. And down here, there's a bunch of them. All right, let's work with that. And then, let's see. Let's go ahead and knock out the melody, because I feel like that's the most driving part. It's one of these. That's the bass. What do you guys think would sound good on that? Sounds like a trumpet. So let's put this way up here. Let's start with trumpets. And I'm pretty sure that was just a brass patch. And there was no decision making about which brass instrument was going to play it. So we're just going to start with trumpets and we'll start orchestrating it out. Yeah, Jordan, they do sound late because the MIDI files themselves are dead on with no millisecond delay, but the sample instruments I'm using are just naturally going to have slight sluggishness to it. So I'm not worried about lining things up until I'm using the actual instruments. All right, that already sounds decent. So let's go make sure the panning, see the panning was at -34 from the N64, which makes sense. The brass would have been left, trumpets are left. Well, I guess trumpets are right, horns are left, so it's probably a horn line actually. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. See, it's like being a detective. Yeah, that's horns. And this is trumpets. So modulation and volume are going to be our two best friends. That's with no dynamics or anything. Sounds decent. This part, oh, that's pretty cool. I like that line a lot, actually. It's the same line 3 times in a row. Bum ba da bum ba da ba. Ba da 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 da. So we'll make this a short line. This is kind of tricky, but we're going to take these 3 like this, get rid of them, put them in legato. They're not going to stay because they're not poly. Darn. Never had to have a patch dedicated to being sustained, but I think I'm just going to have to because it won't work, and it's going to throw off my orchestrator if I mess it up. So, whoops, I guess we have to get a new patch today. But before I screw up my entire session, let's take this. Gotta make sure everything in that entire channel is deleted. So I'm using 8DO. What's the name of this thing? The New Century Ensemble Brass. I like to just grab an individual articulation. This can be horns 6. 12 is too many, and we'll do sustained. Just that way I can do 3 separate notes, 3 separate entry points. I like that. We'll just put that there. See how it sounds. See, way better. All right, let's get the mod and the volume up for the shorts. That'll work. I'm feeling like this trumpet line. It's nice, but I'm wondering if we can double that in strings just to give it some more life. Or woodwinds actually would probably be best if we were to grab flutes. Let's start with flutes. Let's double that in oboes. Give it some crunch. There it is. Oboes always have that nasally quality, which really helps a line carry. Already sounds better. So here, we gotta be careful not to overdo it. So this is already orchestrated for me. So we're gonna do like this. Oboes, we'll just take the lower octave. Okay, so what we're going to do is take this right here. This is now a clarinet and bassoons line because we now jump down the octave. Let me make sure I can show all that if this is interesting. Well, if it's not interesting, it's fine too. You can still enjoy it. So yeah, that's got to be an octave lower. Make sure I'm doing that correctly. Yeah, they're an octave apart. And then we'll do the same thing here. Copy that into the bassoons. So I've taken a 2-part line and turned it into a 4-part line. Cool. And what we'll do is take this line right here, which is a 3-part harmony, and we just need to divide it into 4 instruments. So the way I like to do that is just copy and paste it into all 4. And then pick out the top line for flutes. Takes a second, but it's not hard. Cool. And then we'll pick. I think what we'll do is double the flutes and the oboes together because that's what they've been doing the whole time. It's like play literally the same notes because it's the melody line, and then clarinets will get the middle. And this will translate to strings really well too if we have the option of using them. I'm not sure what they're doing. They might be busy. Or brass or whatever. We'll figure it out. But this is now the lowest line. This is probably going to be doubled in tuba or horns. Cool. It sounds good. Now let's do the same thing for the trumpets. Trumpets can play in octaves like this. Where it gets a little hairy though is when we do 3-part harmony because there's 4 trumpets, and it's just then you waste a lot of session time because they're all asking who does what, and then it never sounds good. If you split 3 parts into 3 people, it usually doesn't sound good because it's if one person is pitchy, you just ruin the whole take, and you gotta redo it and redo it and redo it till it's in tune, and it's just a mess. Versus if you do 2 people on each part, it just magically solves it. It's pretty cool. Safety in numbers. And this will be horns anyway, so here's what I'm gonna do. This is where it gets intense anyway, so this will be a good line to double in horns. We'll do it like this. Go ahead and call them horns. So the trumpets, so now here's the thing. We now have 10 humans to divide the parts instead of just 4. And it helps a lot because now it's 3-part harmony. And horns can do up to 4 parts, but typically you want 2 parts in the horns and 2 parts in the trumpets. But guess what? There's 3 parts. So you have to do the top 2 for the top 2 instruments, the bottom 2 for the bottom 2 instruments. And then someone has to double. So typically the melody is what's going to double. Makes sense? Clear as mud? That's what I thought. This will probably sound best if we do 2-part harmony. Because there's 4 trumpets. And then since there's 6 horns, you can divide that however you want. Honestly, 3-part harmony makes the most sense because in that situation, it's 2-2-2. And it's not overpowered. It's nice and balanced. And that's why I love this particular ensemble size. And that's I put them in parentheses if you're curious. And these are like, if we get the funding, they're already booked. Like I already have the humans on standby. Where this is the exact number: 4 trumpets, 6 horns, 1 bass trombone, 2/3 trombones, 1 tuba, and then all the way down. 3 of each woodwind, going all the way down, right? And so I have to write for the ensemble. I can't just make it up because if I write for 6 people and there's only 3 people in the room, we're screwed, right? Like you have to write for the correct number of people. And when we're doing sample mock-ups like this, it's also important to try your best to use a sample library that already is recorded at that correct ensemble size. So look up the credits of the sample libraries you're using, and they'll typically tell you. And so like these woodwinds that I'm using are actually 3 players each. So it literally sounds exactly what, more or less, what it's going to sound like in volume. And that way I'm not having to artificially mix stuff. Always makes it better. Oh. They can't even go that high. Whoops. Well, that changes things. I wonder what happens if I go down an octave. Yeah. A little bit of liberty there. Oh yeah, that's 100% a choir moment. Anyway, let's get them involved. This might just be like a... How low is that? No. Right? Oh. Women can do that. Here's what I'll do. Copy, paste. The women can't sing those low two notes. They'll be altos. And then everybody comes in. I'm just kind of dividing this up. No, too high. No, 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 no. I'm a tenor, so I know I can feel the range. Too high. That's fine. That's not too high for me. All right. Cool. It's a nice little moment. Let's see what else the ensemble's doing throughout all of this. That has to be strings right there. And timpani. Maybe this is timpani. Gosh, that's such a wild timpani line, but that is how they wrote in the N64 days. Just gotta get this all in the right range. Yeah, that's timpani. Let's get the volume up, but let's turn down the velocity so it's not so harsh, but we can still have that boomy effect. And let's get the panning out of here. That's awful. It was set to 10% right. And then modulation up. Let's see how that feels. That feels more normal. There it goes. I actually considered hiring a timpanist for this project, but it's not possible. You would have to record like every 4 bars and then stitch it all together. This is just not real timpani writing. Whoops. That's why I'm not hiring a timpanist. That's why I just have good samples. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah, this is definitely strings. So let's go ahead and take the whole thing and put it up in the strings, and we'll start orchestrating it out. That's why I have these ensemble patches, just to kind of start the conversation. Sounds cool. You can hear the panning, how it's off, and the mod is off. Everything's off because it came from the MIDI. So let's also change the panning. Right there it is. Oh gosh, those are negative 44 degrees. Or percent. TBD. I mean, percussion is probably all going to be samples, because I could totally go record a snare player. Crash cymbals, etc. It wouldn't be that expensive. It'd be like, $500, $1,000 a player. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. But problem is the editing would take forever. And at the end of the day, that's what samples are. and I've recorded my own samples, and samples can be better because I don't have to change it, I don't have to record it, and I can save some money. So it just, some things are better with samples, and it's usually percussion, and I hate to say that, but it's just the nature of the beast. Sounds pretty good. That sounds good with the symphony. So that's all low strings. So let's go ahead and pop that into the low strings. And divide it out because it's all octaves. It won't be as boomy as that, but that's the point. I only have 4 double basses and 6 cellos, not 34. So yeah, it's going to sound different. And really the cleanest thing to do here is to copy and paste it and go through each and just let me think this through. Yeah, like that. I just want to make sure I'm not killing the wrong thing. I know, not the sexiest part of the job, but this is part of the job, is cleaning up stuff in the MIDI. And this was actually a really easy task. There we go. So since I got rid of all of I kept all the fifths in the little octave jumps. Now in the double bass part, I'm going to get rid of those fifths and just keep the lowest notes. If you're following along. And if not, just enjoy the music. This is NPR. I feel like an NPR radio host today. I'm just very chill today. I'm excited, but I'm very, very laid back today. All right, there we go. The only thing to change here is I see some long notes here. Right here. So let's go ahead and pop those into the legato patches, which are right beside it, already mixed to sound similar. And then let's change all the names of the MIDI tracks. Let's see how that sounds. You see how different that sounds? It sounds like 6 cellos are playing and 4 double basses are playing, not 34. Now I could and should update my volumes on these at the beginning, so let me do it real quick. Oh gosh, they're already maxed out. So maybe I should pump the velocity. See how much weaker it sounds? That's what 6 cellos sounds like. It's not this big, bombastic, epic 100-piece symphony. I mean, together they do that, but that's why we have all the percussion and the timpani and... This could be increased. I think that was the most startling thing when I first started writing for live orchestras. I had been writing for sample libraries for many years before that. And I was so disappointed when I first recorded my very first symphony in real life, playing my own music. It was so disappointing because it felt so weak. And this is like 100 people on stage playing fortissimo, and it still felt weak to my ears because I had been, in trailer music and ad music by that point. And I was so used to like the over the top, in your face, screaming music, 10 out of 10 intensity, that when, I looked at the back of the room and I walked to the back of the hall and there's one bass drum player, there's a timpanist, there's one person playing crash cymbals and cymbal swells. There's like 3 or 4 percussionists in the back, and that's it. And then there's, 30 or 40 strings on stage. There's, 10 brass players, 12 or 15, whatever it was, woodwind players. I could feel the enormity of it all, but the sound was not screaming at me. And so what I learned through that process, and hopefully since then, this was like 15 years ago, what I've learned since then is the orchestra can be very powerful, but it actually has everything to do with the mix. It has everything to do with how you prepare for the session, and then it's like how you treat the sound at the end. Because the Dark Dice stuff that I just finished, some of the performances were very wimpy and not very clear or not very intense. But I stuck with it, and I did not use samples. I refused to use samples in the final mix. I used them at first, and actually all of my mixes for the soundtrack had doublings of sample instruments behind it. So like when the strings were going, I had sample instruments behind it to kind of keep the pulse and everything. But the more sample instruments I added, the less life there was in the musicality of it all. And so by the end, 100% I removed, because it except for percussion, same reasons. I had to keep some percussion in there. Same reasons. It just stole the lifeblood out of it. And honestly, a couple wrong notes kind of gives some edginess and some life to it. Now, they're not like grossly out of tune, but it's, a couple cents off here and there, a couple little swells, a couple little squeaks, a couple little bow scratches, a couple breaths from the woodwind players. Like, it's nice. It gives so much life. So I say all that. No, this will not be over-the-top, bombastic, in-your-face strings, because the strings are just one of the many elements. When you put it all together, you really don't want the strings like blaring in your face. It won't sound good. It's all about the cohesive unit. And so, what did I do to kind of fix that? Well, in the mix, I made sure that through my EQ, that was my solution. The strings were super bassy, so I actually removed the low end and boosted the mids. And in doing that, it cleaned up so much of the mix. Brass, kind of the opposite problem. They're usually kind of wimpy in the low end and very, very bright. So you kind of change the EQ curve. And in doing that, putting everything together, it has this nice full richness to it versus relying on samples to do all the heavy lifting. So anyway, so I'm proud of myself for learning the lesson and actually applying it. I don't need the 34 string ensemble to play because in real life it just won't sound like that and I'll be disappointed. So I'm trying to set realistic expectations. That's a nice sounding string section. It's small. It sounds like 10 people. And guess what? Now the timpani sounds way too loud, as it should, because it's just too loud. Timpani in real life will never sound that loud. And it's basically doubling what the strings are doing. So there needs to be kind of a nice marriage between them. That feels good. And we haven't even done brass yet, which are going to boom, 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 probably double that. Now that I'm thinking about it, let's go and do that. Let's take specifically, trombones. Oh yeah, I've already done the work. Let's do it. Let's extrapolate it. So here we go. Copy. This is why I have my session template in this order. I always have shorts on top, legatos on bottom, because watch this. Copy. I'm about to paste. If I just go to my trombones, boom, boom, and then I can. I'm using Control on my keyboard. I know Jordan cares because he's now a fresh Cubase user. I love Cubase so much. There's so many cool functions. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just holding Control to select the exact tracks I want. So I'm going to select tuba, tuba. So are we following? So that's shorts, longs, shorts, longs. And all I have to do is select the MIDI data, like right here. I have a shortcut in my key commands. I just use the letter L on my keyboard, hit L, and then my cursor goes to the beginning of the MIDI data that I selected, right there. Okay? And now that I've copied, as soon as I hit paste, it's going to go to where I've selected. There it is. Boom. And now I have to just rename it. But in one little action, I now have moved, I've copied the cello and bass notes into the trombone and the tuba. And theoretically, because the MIDI data itself, you can see it right here, already has the automation at the beginning of it, the main volume and the modulation, right? Those two things. Everything should work if I just hit play. And they're, soloed. They're not just off. So it did what I told it to do. It doesn't sound good though. So now that's just my fault. You know why it doesn't sound good? It's actually a velocity issue. Check this out. This is crazy. I don't think it was until last year, again, working on the Dark Dice album, because we did so much brass work. I never realized how many tones you can get out of low brass. Because coming from the trailer world and everything, where everyone wanted it bigger and more epic, there was only one velocity that you'd used in low brass, and it was the Brahms, right, which is velocity 127, 100% max all the time. But what's nice about trombones is if you actually pull them back, even that's too much. Oh, it's not a velocity issue, my bad. It's a mod wheel is how we do it. Mod wheel right here. That's the mod wheel. It's just too high. It's probably, honestly, it's probably everything. There we go. You hear how that's no longer like bright? It's no longer smashing us in the face. It's actually musical and feels good. That's just volume. And I bet we double that sucker with tuba, it'll sound nice. Let's find out. So my tuba, here's what happened. My tuba patch is 1 octave high. There it is. So I have to transpose it. That sounds good. What doesn't sound good are these little guys. They're too short. My tuba patch is a little sensitive. There we go. Bum. All right, let's get that all cleaned up. Cool. Simple. Is that too low? Oh, good. That's perfect in the range of trombone. That was a good pick. All right, making good progress. All right, so we still have 2 instruments that are completely unaccounted for, but I bet you that this is actually brass. Let's look at it. Isn't that what we just did? Oh, I love this track so much. Yeah, that brass. Hans Zimmer, enter the chat. Yeah. Oh, I love big, epic brass. It's just, it doesn't always belong. This soundtrack is more akin to John Williams' Star Wars. That's probably, in Star Trek, right? And James Horner's soundtrack. Star Trek, I think those were the references. So it has that language, and you wouldn't bring a 50-piece horn ensemble to that, you know? So this is the same notes. Oh, okay, here's what I'm gathering from this. They just want, I'm pretty sure this is strings as well. This is probably high strings if I was a betting man. So let's actually, I only erased the beginning because I've already done the work in the, if you remember earlier, in the woodwinds, I think, or the brass. I've already split it up. So let's put this in the strings short for now. We'll come back to it. I'm just gonna make it an ugly color real quick so we don't forget it. And then this right here. I think this is a strings line. So let's just pop it into some violin stuff and see if we can get this to sound good. So this would be violin 1 short. Horns are gonna be, oh, this is so gross. I might just get my orchestrator to do that. Horns short. I might just do the ensemble patch just to not spend 10 minutes on that right now. But let's just hear if it even works. Yeah, it works fine. Yeah, I think that was the intention. It's just way too loud. Because it's 34 players and not 10. So I guess I can just cheat and at least put it in violins like this. There we go. Just please know that this is not what it would sound like. It'd be way quieter. Like that. All right, enough playing around with that. Yeah, this has got to be legato strings. It works. Oh, you guys can't see the fancy video this whole time? I'm so sorry. That was like the whole point. Sorry, guys. Now you can. Alright, you just gotta figure out what this thing is here at the bottom. What is this instrument? Alright, I'm going to cheat for like a second. I don't want Content ID to yell at me, so I'll really try to keep this brief. But I got to figure out from the original what in the world this low line is. Who does it belong to? It doesn't exist in the original. Weird. See? I don't hear that. Weird. So that's definitely horns. So let's find that. Make sure. Okay, remember this? When I did this whole fancy split of parts? Ugh. I can't, because the horns need to be there. Yeah, so it's definitely horns. So this is horns. That's not strings. It's actually trumpets. One of those. Yeah, definitely strings. Is that this thing? Where is it? Weird. It is really cool though when everything lines up, because like this is literally from the original. Alright, so that's trumpets. I don't know this track well enough to know exactly what instruments are what. Yeah, that's the whole part that got cut off somehow. The most important part is there's like a whole line missing. So let's go back. If this stream gets punished, I'm sorry. Glad you're here. But I have to listen to the original. There's no other way. Everything else feels good. That's why I'm kind of being choppy with it. This is trumpets. Darn. Oh, I got these backwards. Okay. That's what happened, guys. I got the strings and the brass backwards. As far as who's playing what. Dang. But it's okay. It actually works. There it is. So this is the trumpets. Wow. So what I'm gathering is this goes here. Alright, let's get that. I'm trying to visually look for where all the parts are. Oh, that's all missing. Jeez, guys. All right, this will be here. This part's missing. Here. But only that string line. Weird. Let's figure it out. I just gotta get it in somehow. line. Let's try it again. Here. A weird line to just be gone. It's like a critical part. It's literally the melody. And I think they're all triplets. Triplet, so it goes da da da. So that's all 16ths. Triplet, actually, I think they're 16ths. Da da da. Da 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 da. And then there's some moving line in there as well. There's a second violin part that's really tricky. Let's see if I can nab it. Doesn't help that it's super like compressed. That's what it is. And then it's parallel. Dang. You gotta find the last note. He says, yeah, G twice. Na na, separate. Da na da la ba da ba ba ba. Hey, this is where your training comes into play. Da ba da 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 da. Whole tone scale. Ba ba da triplet bum. Although it's not a triplet, it's 16ths. I guess it's are they yeah, they're 16th notes. 170 BPM. I'm just gonna do triplets. Triplet bottom. That's what it sounds like. Here's what those two sound like together, if I got it right. Sounds right to me. Any perfect pitch people out there who can verify? I think my timing's off. I think it's which means one and two and one and da. This might do better as a short articulation, just so we can hear it. Yeah. That's all there. just erase it all or something? Like, what is going on? It's possible. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Oh. It's gone. It's fine. I'll go ahead and get it in. It's the same thing. It's the same rhythm. Jeez. Oh, that's still missing. Oh, heavens. You guys are just being too kind. Suffering with me. Yeah, I need to start here. Trumpets. Ba, 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 ba. Cool. Wow. Did not know I was going to be transposing today. Or like what do you call this? Transcribing? It's okay. I used to do this a lot, actually. But just phrase by phrase. Actually, one of the best ways to get better at composing is to transcribe other people's music. Really is. G minor. This is a good skill refresh. Thankfully, it's good music, so it's fun to transcribe. So I get it clean. And then keep going. Just a few bars away from finishing this madness. Yeah, this part has 0 MIDI for whatever reason. Let's get the melody in. This is in octaves now. Right, so A. Oh, it's just a scale, but it's a weird scale. I love it. Gotta go back to the A. It's a cool note. Sweet. Let's clean that up a little bit. These breaths will be important later. Use bombs wisely. I love it. In some way, this feels even more authentic to the arranging process. Having to figure it out by ear. Ba, 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 ba. Here we go. That goes off. That's why. Ba da ba ba. What should that be? Let me measure it in eighth notes visually. Dun 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 dun. That's it. It's the MIDI, not me. It's the playback that's sluggish. Cool. I can work with that. All right, so we're going to pop that into... That is definitely... First violins. Does it go higher? No, it doesn't. But this needs to go in violas. Like that. And we might as well just go ahead and double it in the second violins to have 20 violins instead. I'm sure, yeah, 18 violins instead of 8 or 10. This is definitely a trumpet line, so we'll pop it here, but it's going to be doubled. Cool. thirds, up the melody, and then fourth, tritone, or augmented. Sorry, diminished 7. There it is. Cool. Let's get all that cleaned as well. See what the bass is doing and all that. So let's keep going with the driving bass stuff, which is like... Oh man, they can't even hit those notes. Alright, so now... So it's the C minor. Something like that. So here, almost got it, guys. All right, then it goes back to the beginning for the loop. Let's check out that line. Or this is all going to be 16th notes. Clean it up. Oops. Whew, getting these rhythms is tricky. 8th notes. It's really just 3 quarter notes, or 3 8th notes, right? 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2. Not a uncommon rhythm for a bass line. Boom, 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 boom. 2 4 Yeah. I have to get it cleaned up before I can do, double it. Cool. So that introduces an interesting problem. I'm not sure if you heard it, but from the beginning of this thing, the original actually sounds more like octaves with a third and a fifth. Yeah, this MIDI screwed me up big time. It was divided in a weird way that didn't make that line clear. So now I understand why there's a separate line down there. It just divided it in a weird way. Here's what's actually happening. If I take a piano real quick, then I can figure out how to actually do it. It does this. It's a tango. So what it is, it's just octaves. So that's going to be brass and low strings, but then it also has this little two notes in the middle of the octave that helps to define the chord. So what I'm thinking is, it sounds to me like the strings and the brass are doing the octaves and the timpani's going. Which is dumb because timpani can't do that in real life. So it kind of begs the question, do we want this to be played live? If this was ever picked up by like some traveling orchestra, could they play it? And the answer is no. That is 100% the timpani doing it. See? It's just gonna have to be fine. So what that does is it frees me up in the strings. I no longer have to play that middle note. Well, here. It just sounds dumb. Boom, boom. Like we just gotta let the timpani do its thing. Let me actually put the timpani in so we can hear it all together. That just sounds better. So by removing a note, it actually cleans this up quite a bit. That I don't like. So where's the strings now? Oh. There it goes. I solved it. Hooray! Same thing here. Thanks for hanging out, Clinton. This is what bothers me. There. Like, why is that missing? This is the weirdest MIDI. Bumper. Weird, huh? So, Gabriel. These should be down. There we go. Okay. Oof. Oh yeah, this is where I changed it. Or this is where I transcribed it. So here, let's go ahead and get this into the cello. So the cello and the bass should just be bum, bum, ba-da, bum, bum. Like before. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Okay. Looks good. This I need to put in the timpani to be consistent, which looks like this. Well, for starters, got to put it all an octave higher. But can I keep the octave on top? Sounds good. Cool. I think we solved it. Oh, forgot to fix my double bass. Here. Whee! Is it the right octave though? Yeah, it is. Sweet. Cool. Let's solve that. Basically, we have to put that in. We gotta put those into some short articulations here. Same thing here. So really, all of these. Like that. Just chapping them up. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boop. All right. Whew, that was a lot of work. But now we need to get the trombones and tuba to follow now all of this new stuff. Unfortunately, it just isn't going to work in its current state. So we have to go back. I've already done the work. I just got to copy it. Cello, cello, bass, bass. Should all be good to go now. And it will actually sound good, I hope. Okay. Like before, we got to make sure the tuba is an octave higher. Hey, welcome back, Sarah. You missed all the boring stuff. Getting right in time. Finally actually making music. I had to do so much MIDI editing and transcribing from ear to figure out all those notes and all the moving parts. That's going to sound so much better with the timpani. It's not over the top either. It's just kind of like in the background. So here's a test I like to do whenever I'm orchestrating. I don't always do it, but it's a good rule of thumb. I like to test each section of the orchestra because that's how we're going to record it, is in sections. Like we're going to have a brass session, a string session, a woodwind session, choir session. So it's important to make sure that everything works as a section. It's a good way of testing if everything's working. So here's the horns. Here's the brass. That already sounds like trash. I know what's happening. This somehow got smushed. My mod wheel got smushed down. There we go. So much stuff. So many moving lines. This is a mess. Same thing. I'm going to have to create a trumpets sustain patch. Haven't had to do that in this entire soundtrack yet. This one in particular is just so intricate. It's just going to need that level of love here. So trumpet sustain, that's an easy thing to find. Here in my ADO patch, let's do trumpets 4. Sustained is always sustained vibrato is probably what I want. Let's see how that feels. Ooh, I do not like the vibrato. Let's just do normal. Get the volume and mod up. Love the volume, hate the dynamic, the tone. Guys, why does that keep blocking you guys? It's so weird. Hold on. There. Okay, see my video. There he is. volume issue. It's all strings. Da, da, da. That sounds good. That's probably horns. Yeah, that's horns. Yeah, okay. This actually needs to be... This is tricky. This top line should be trumpets. Everything else... Da, 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 da. I kind of like it though. Let's keep the trumpets on the top. It's a really cool polyphonic brass line. What we'll do is take the horns and get rid of the top line. That way the trumpets only have the top line. It'll be a nice fat brass magical moment. That would sound really good live. Whoa, something got off really bad. G on top. Yeah, that works. All right, back to this. And it happens again here. So this is a moment where if I copy this guy into the horns, I should be able to just see how there's 4 of them. So the first 2 need to be trumpets. Such cool antiphonal writing, which is an old way to write for brass. These trombones are so wimpy. What's going on? Trombones, what you doing? Like, it's this patch. It's just... There it is. Found the problem. There it is. Here's a moment. Definitely need to get this mod view under control. Like this. That's sounding really good. Here's another moment where we can easily separate that. That needs to be horns as well. Ba, 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 ba. Easy to do. Let's stick with the 2-2-2 rule, or the 1 versus 2 rule. Like that. So 3-part harmony. The top line's trumpets. And then the bottom 2 are going to be the horns. Just like that. Notice all the things that I'm catching because I'm soloing just the brass. And this speed back up to full volume. This is a challenging track, but I'm having a lot of fun. Hope you are too. Okay, that's brass. Let's move on to strings. Make sure all the stringy stuff is working. It should. Still sounds kind of wimpy. Now we're just in that editing phase before we can make it sound good. Wow, these TSS strings are failing so hard today. They just cannot keep up. I just can't keep changing the delay to make it make sense. So, just for my sanity, I'm gonna just I don't know, this, I guess. I hate putting them together. Da. I think it's supposed to go here. There it is. That's what I was struggling with earlier. Yay, I fixed it by having them together. Fine. There we go. There we go. Sounds good. This part has to be louder because it's going to be doubled. This is dumb. I'm going to do this. And then double up on the octaves. Like this. Hooray! Sweet. All right, guys, we're now in that last 10%, which is going to make all the difference in the quality. This is the part, if you've not been paying attention, this is the time to. These little fine details are the thing that separates good from great. Ooh, that needs a little bit more space. It's gonna be a really fun brass session. Hope we can make it happen. Such an important brass line. Alright, so this is really where the woodwinds need to shine to help fill some of the gaps in the depth. Where I want to do the woodwinds. Right here. Flutes, oboes. Maybe this is like the new line that we added. Woodwinds pair really well with strings. Really good spot for it. Really, this entire thing could be doubled by woodwinds. So let's do that. Let's actually just copy and paste a few spots, and I'm thinking honestly that I can't decide if the bassoon, I don't think it should double in this one. All right, get this. It just sounds really nice. This is where we'll separate it. Maybe that's where that's where the bassoon will come in. Like that. Get him in, at least right there. See you, Sarah. Thanks so much. That feels good. So simple, but it adds just a nice supplement to these little melodic lines from the strings. Sounds awesome. that goes back to $5.99, which is the loop. Oh, guess not. 601 is going to be the loop. My bad. Here. I'm going to take a 2-minute break. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to come back and add that last 5% with the choir and the percussion. That's really going to help to shape and polish this thing out. Now that we have all the core data, now I can have fun with the production side. So don't go anywhere. Be right back. All right, friends, welcome back to the Live Composing Show. Thanks so much for being a part of this episode with me today as we're knocking out Area 6. I called it Sector 6. That's wrong. Area 6. Weird. From Star Fox 64. This has been a very challenging arrangement because the original MIDI data, for whatever reason, glitched or something, and it only gave me like 75% of the actual notes and the actual data and stuff. So this has been actually a really fun challenge to try to by ear figure out all of the polyphonic moving lines in the brass versus the strings, and it's like constant going back and forth, right? And then trying to figure out how to separate those into legible lines and keep the mix manageable. But now we're at the very end where we can focus on the last 5%, which I'm considering the percussion and polishing it together just to make sure that the volumes are good, velocities are good, dynamics, swells, that type of thing that actually makes all the difference in the quality. So let's jump right back in and let's get to it. When I last left, there is a nice gap here at the end because we're doing it by ear at the end where I'd like to add percussion, and then we got to get choir throughout this whole thing where it makes sense, probably where the woodwinds are at, just to help give that extra little oomph. Let's jump in somewhere around here. snare pumping a little bit hotter. So let me go back to the original and listen to the snare. Yeah, it literally just keeps going. So, theoretically, if I just take a bunch of these, like that, and copy paste, let's see what happens. Whoops. Let me get some crash cymbals. There it is. Something. Something like that. This would be so good live. So good, because it's just so interesting. Parts everywhere, but nothing steps on each other, which is so good. These are triplets. Ta ta triplet. No, it's not. It's eighth notes. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Bum 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 ba da da bum 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 ba da da da. Yeah, what happened there? Cool moment, but it just needs something. Let's do some rolls. Like that. That's what we need. Let me keep them. I'm gonna keep doing it. This pattern right here for 2 more bars, and then we're gonna do a roll. Here's what it looks and sounds like. Gotta get timed right. So mod's gonna start here. You can't see that, and we'll go all the way to there. A little curve, but we've got to get this volume. It's just wimpy. There it is. couple things we got to add as well. We got some bells in here. Let's add some epicness. Yeah, I like that. It's a nice big fat bell. Nice. I want a gong here. Because that's the loop point. That'd be a nice like re-entry. Let's get the main volume on that all the way up. We also have the power to use xylophone or marimba to double some of these melodies, or harp. Might help, actually. Let's just see what it feels like. I kind of like it. I like it on this part. It's like those last 10%, 5%, it makes a big difference. Let's do that, a little tremolo. Yeah, without all that. Hold on. Also tells me what the final chord is. When I was doing my brass earlier by ear, that actually just taught me what this chord is right here. This is actually a B flat major. This will be good in the harp too, actually. That's called playing bisbigliano, Italian for like separated with the harp. It was a fun idea. It doesn't work. Let's add some choir. All right, so this will be right here for choir, men and women, like this. Let's see if it works. It's gonna work. flat chord, and then diminished. And we're going to take that. So good. No. It's too high. What's going on? Oh, we're muted. That's fine. Where'd he go? You gotta make all these longer because they're super legato. And then, so that doesn't just hit us in the head. We gotta do a mod wheel. Nothing crazy. Like really get it dramatically increased like that. I like that. And then we'll do it in the min. So we'll start nice and high, but then same thing. It's a little decrease, little rise at the end, like that, to give it some oomph at the end. Same thing needs to happen here, just a slight decrease in the mod, like that, and then we'll do a rise. Just helps to have a little bit of mod wheel, just to give it some forward momentum. Give it somewhere to go. Crescendo is what you would call it in sheet music. That needs a gong as well, since we were already doing that. I changed my quantize. Let's put a gong right there. Oh, also a good spot for a bell, wherever it is. Yes, there, I'll do that. ideas, and the bells just follow the melody. Feels really good. That feels almost complete. Just a little bit of mixing. I'm trying to think of where else to put this xylophone, so it's not just a one-time event here. I'm thinking maybe over here when the woodwinds come back. Maybe just double that here so we can hear that melody even more. That sounds good. And here we can go. So let's get that going. Just like before. I should probably listen to it, huh? Like before. It's great. That's what it looks like. lastly, let's check our volume levels. Let's make sure we're not peaking. Looks like we might be a little bit here at the end. Alright, so we're peaking by 3. So here's what I do. I literally just take all the instruments, go over here to my mixer, Q-Link, drag them all down about 3, and then we'll test it again. Uh-oh. Not a good time to crash. Please don't crash. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? This happened last week. Okay, maybe it's saved. I don't know. Or frozen. Ugh, darn you, live streaming. It takes up so many computer resources that it, even with a really fancy computer, it just goes kaput sometime. Well, I guess that's that. Darn, darn, darn. Okay, well, it crashed, so I'm going to have to force quit it and try that last couple minutes again. So here's what I'm going to do. Just like last time, I'm going to close down the stream. It has to do with running YouTube Live and all the software. Sometimes just right here at the end, there's just too much going on. So I'm going to do that last little mix, just make sure that all the volume levels are not peaking. And then I will shoot this video up on the YouTubes for you guys to see it in a few minutes. And I'll see you next time. So yeah, just a quick reminder, guys. There's a link in the description below for you guys to jump onto the Kickstarter pre-launch page. Please do that. If you like this music, if you'd love to hear this come to life, the most valuable thing you could possibly do is share the page. Of course, support it when it comes out next month. In some way would be amazing. Even $5, $10 would really make a big difference. Because we need something like 3,000 people to back this to actually make it happen. So please, please, please share this. I really want to make this happen. So anyway, we're going to end it there. Thanks, guys, for being a part, as always. I'm really happy with this track, Area 6. We'll play it out. I can't play it out here, but I'll show you guys the video shortly. Thanks for being a part. There it goes. There, it crashed finally. All right. See you next time. Don't go anywhere. I mean, you can